I'm dropping my iPad. Hello, YouTube. I'm dropping my iPad as I'm trying to set up TikTok here. Hello, I've got like all these different connections I need to use for different things. Plug in. Anyway, hello. Hello, Andre. Salut. All right. As you know, TikTok takes a second here. As I said, and TikTok, of course, I think I told you this, they changed these settings again yesterday because, you know, God forbid. God forbid they ever don't. That's a little bright. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm going to shut that off. 1 second. Curtain's a bit much there. Curtain is a bit. There we go. All right. That should do it. All right. The sun was coming in just a little bit on TikTok, and it was annoying me. That's much better. Oh, live goal is back. You've got to be kidding me. All right. Hang on, guys. Hey, guys. You're getting TikTok set up. 1 minute. Tiki-taki. 1 moment here. Just looking here. 1 moment. All right, let's try just for fun. All right, TikTok. Oh, I got to get a title on TikTok. Sorry. I think we'll call it martial law and shutdown again. That works for me. Go live. All right, TikTok is good. All righty. I did not see the round table. I heard about it. I mean, I didn't hear about it, though. I didn't get the details. I'd be curious to find out what happened. Trump held TikTok. Hey, TikTokers. Trump held a round table today to talk about Antifa, which doesn't exist. And I didn't see what happened, but I'm sure it was awful. Hey, TikTokers. Welcome all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got YouTube, TikTok, and Discord here. The gang is all here. Hey, guys. Hey, Chezak, Nick, Rebecca, Ash. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody. Woo. I am John Aravosis. Welcome to the show. So I'm very excited. I got a new Amazon. It's Amazon Prime Day. Last day, remember? But I got a new thingy for my sink in my bathroom. My sink, the faucet is too close to the marble and back. So whenever I wash my hands, it gets water all over the back basin. It only took me 16 years to figure out the little thing you can screw on. That's an additional arm. Oh my God. I'm like in joy. 16 years of splashing water everywhere. I'm in absolute joy. Anyway, so I was doing that before the show, like an hour before, and got it to work. And I was like, yes, yes. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Aravosis. I always forget that. That is a good name. Anyway, yeah, so Trump today held a roundtable discussion to talk about Antifa. Antifa is something that doesn't exist. It's a boogeyman in Donald Trump's brain. Totally doesn't exist. It means anti-fascist, which of course begs the question of who isn't Antifa? I thought we all were Antifa. We're all anti-fascist, right? But which reminds me, I was going to do a video. Actually, Ashley or somebody remind me later, if you would. I was going to do a video about sort of the Antifa thing and why everybody isn't Antifa. Somebody remind me later because I wrote a script and everything, and then like forgot to do it because it was the weekend. So yeah, Trump held a meeting. I'm sure it was horrific. I did not see it. He's an idiot. What do you do? But I'm sure it was, like I said, absolutely horrific. But let's get rolling. So I'm John Aravosis. Welcome, guys. This is my show. We talk about the latest news in America. I'm in the U.S. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm a longtime political and journalist guy and a lawyer as well. And I basically go through the news to help you all figure out what is going on underneath the news. I did see some. Okay, Big Hawk, you're doing the same. You're doing the same thing. If you're going to mention Eric Swalwell's cool tweets, tell me what was so cool about them. I saw some stuff from Eric Swalwell today, but I have no idea if I saw whatever you're referring to. I'm going to look. Eric Swalwell is a really cool Democratic congressman. But let me look and see. I will pull up his Twitter feed. If Big Hawk says it's good. Let's see here. Come on. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Enough already. Continue on web. Hold on. Oh, my God. He called Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is Trump's defense secretary, the Fox News pretty boy who has like this much experience in the military. And his claim to fame is he was a pretty boy on Fox News. And Trump puts him as Secretary of Defense. He has a drinking problem, to put it lightly. And Eric Swalwell, Democratic congressman, one of the best messengers Democrats has, called him, instead of Hegseth, calls him Kegseth. Kegs. A keg in America is a huge vat of beer. Wow. Hang on here. 1 second here. I don't know what you're referring to, Big Hawk. Yeah, I'm looking, but I can't tell which tweet. Well, about that idiot, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking here really quick. Okay, I have no idea what that is, so I'm going to stop looking at his stuff. Anyway, so welcome, guys. Trump is a pathological liar, but Trump is claiming we're on the verge of a peace deal in the Middle East, and he may go to the Middle East to cement the deal. That's nice. Is he on the verge of solving inflation? That'd be nice, right? Be kind of nice. Is he on the verge of stopping the impending recession? More unemployment data today, more jobs data suggesting we're heading for a recession. Wouldn't it be nice if Trump, focused on that? I mean, I'm glad he's interested in peace in the Middle East. The only reason he's interested in peace in the Middle East is he wants a Nobel Prize because Obama got one. That's it. Hey, yep. That's it. And, whatever. We're in the middle of a government shutdown. Inflation is slowly getting out of control. And Trump is going to go fly to the Middle East? Seriously? Seriously? Mike Johnson. So there's a story that's been going on, and we should have been making a much bigger deal about this. The Republicans in the House of Representatives are refusing to seat a Democratic congresswoman who won election over a week ago. She's from Arizona. She won over a week ago. They won't seat her because if they seat her, she could be the deciding vote to force the Jeffrey Epstein files to go public. So they're refusing to seat her. Again, look at the anti-democracy movement with MAGA, okay? She's an elected member of Congress. They will not let her sit in Congress. She's elected. The people elected her. And they won't do it. New York Times Siena poll, a couple of different polls about Trump and immigration. The share of registered voters who favor deporting immigrants living in the country illegally, 54%. I'm actually surprised it's not higher than that, has remained unchanged. More than 90% of Republicans, 52% of independents, 20% of Democrats continue to broadly support the idea of deporting those here illegally. 51% said they thought the government was deporting mostly people who should be deported, but it's only 51%. 42% said the government was deporting the wrong people. More than half of voters, 53%, think the process of deporting people has not been fair. 44% think it was mostly fair. A similar share, 52%, disapprove of Trump's handling of immigration. 46% approve. That's pretty good, meaning at least he's underwater on immigration. 51% said his actions around immigration enforcement have gone too far. That means the country's still divided. It's still 50-50. Reuters Ipsos poll on the same topic. 58% of Americans, including 7 in 10 Democrats and half of Republicans, feel that Trump should only deploy armed troops to face external threats. That's pretty good. 7 in 10 Democrats and half of Republicans. Half of Republicans think he should only deploy armed troops to face external threats. Keep in mind, in your own party, you usually get 80 or 90% support. So for Trump to only be getting 50% support for deploying troops in American cities like he's doing, that's actually pretty good among Republicans. The poll of more than 1,000 voters also found that 37% of those surveyed agree that presidents of either political party should have the power to deploy troops into states, even when the state governors object. 48% disagree. 83% agree that the military should remain politically neutral and not take a side in a domestic policy debate. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I'm very 50-50 on that. I'm very 50-50 on that one. Because in the end, if Trump tries to impose martial law, if Trump literally tries to suspend the Constitution, do you really want the military to sit by if they're able to stop a dictatorship from being implemented? I mean, this is scary stuff. It's very scary stuff. But I don't know. That's an interesting, because the problem with questions like that is, in principle, of course, no one wants the military to get involved in our democracy, right? Of course not. If, let's say, January 6th, the insurrection, let's say Trump was successful. Trump was successful in stopping Biden from being seated as president. Or Trump refuses to leave office this time, right? He decides to stay. He decides to annul the election illegally. You can only stay in office 2 terms. His term ends January 20th of 2029. What if he decides to stay and refuses to leave? Do you not want, if the military is willing to help, do you not want their help? It's a very interesting question, because typically as Americans, we don't want the military to get involved in domestic issues. But what if the domestic issue is a dictatorship? It's very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. What else we got here? Oh, yes. Trump today, speaking of dictatorships, Trump today threatened to arrest the Illinois governor and the Chicago mayor. Trump said Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. Yeah, that would be fascist. That would be the kind of thing, the Nazis did in Germany. It's the kind of thing the communist Chinese do. It's the kind of things the Russians did and do. Americans don't talk that way. Good Americans don't talk that way. Dictators talk that way. Fascists talk that way. Nazis talk that way. This is, again, dangerous. It's also violent language, because if he's suggesting they should be in prison and they shouldn't be in office, somebody could try to remove them from office. Trump doesn't care. Republicans don't care. The Charlie Kirk thing, we all now know that was basically BS, right? Horrible crime. Horrible crime. They used it as a political opportunity. And now, again, remember they all sat there and said, oh my God, political speech, violent speech, bad. Now they're nonstop. Stephen Miller, Trump's White House aide, nonstop calling everybody terrorists, calling judges terrorists, everybody. Unbelievable. So yes, he wants to jail the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago. Pritzker, give him credit. Pritzker, the Illinois governor, shot back and said, he goes, come and get me. Actually, I'm going to show you the video. He also tweeted, I will not back down. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives, checking his power. What else is left on the path to full-blown authoritarianism? I want to show you the clip of Pritzker. 1 second. It was a good one. It was a very good one. Where is this? Videos. Here he is.
I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
What does that mean exactly, Governor? Do you believe that he would follow through?
Oh, he goes, do you believe he would follow through?
That he'll chicken out. He basically said the same thing to Governor Gavin Newsom when I was with him at the height of the raids in the Los Angeles area. Governor Gavin Newsom is walking free on the streets of California. You think that he'll chicken out, or would he ever arrest you?
This.
Well, you know the expression, Trump always chickens out taco. And I got to say, he can't arrest. We've done nothing wrong here. And very importantly, it's Donald Trump that is breaching the Constitution, breaking the law.
He called him a taco. Now, tacos are actually, you know what? Remind me too, if you guys can, I need to update some of the emojis on YouTube. I forgot to put the taco emojis on YouTube. We've got them on TikTok and Discord as well, actually. I've got to remember to do that. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. Thank you for the cool Chasing the Dream gift, Carrie. Appreciate that. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Remember, I do this for a living. Your gifts are very much appreciated, so thank you. Kirsty Nome. What was her thing? Oh, yeah. This is fabulous. Kirsty Nome is the Homeland Security Director with the false eyelashes and the hair extensions. That she and she has the cameras everywhere. Everything's a photo op for her. She claimed today that actually, I want to read you the quote. The quote's insane from her about violence in Portland. They keep talking about how violent it is in Portland. Okay, listen to this. Democratic leaders have said, this is from Associated Press. Democratic leaders have said they don't want National Guards on their streets because it's not necessary. Kirsty Nome rejected their assertion after meeting with the Oregon governor and Portland mayor. Quote, they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets, she said. She said Antifa, which is this fake group that doesn't exist, Antifa wants to destroy the American people and their way of life. Oh, their way of life. Now now the imaginary people who don't exist are after our way of life. But they're covering up the terrorism that is hitting our streets. Here's a thought. Thank you, Gender. If nobody can see the terrorism that's hitting our streets, either it's being covered up or it doesn't exist. Because I would think if we had terrorism in our streets, everybody would see it. Right? I mean, wouldn't we see it? I mean, I've never in my life heard of terrorism. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Big Hawk. I've never in my life heard of terrorism that, you can't find any proof of, right? Seriously? What she's saying like the fact that there's no proof of my allegation is proof that there's a cover up, or it's proof that you're lying and you're making it up, as the court found in Oregon. This is, again, they're crazy. ICE shot a minister in the head with a pepper bullet in the last couple days. Really horrific. Really horrific. It was the same minister that got pepper sprayed. I don't think I want to show the video because I'm not sure they're going to be very happy with it. But the same minister that was pepper sprayed, he was doing a church rite, some Baptist evangelical thing where they, I'm forgetting we don't do this in my faith. I'm forgetting what it's called. Where basically you call people to come forward if during today's sermon they were called by God or some such thing. And he's got his hands up doing the prayer and they shoot him in the head with the pepper thing. And you can see it explode and he falls to the ground. Presbyterian, he falls to the ground. Oh, witnesses, there's video. There were multiple people there and there's video. The video is horrific. You see it hit his head, explode, and he falls to the ground. He's suing. Altar call. There you go. Exactly. The altar call. Yeah, we don't have such a thing. I had to Google it. He was doing a church service and they shot him in the head. I mean, guys, again, just when you think they can't get worse, they can't get more fascist. And again, what would the Republicans do if Barack Obama shot a priest in the head while he was doing a church service, a minister? Chicago. Really, and they laughed about it reportedly. Exactly, Kelly. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. What else? Oh, I had to show you this. This one totally cracked me up. Somebody shared this. They were talking about, because the Trump people, like Kirsty Nome, it's terrorism. Like she just said, it's terrorism that nobody wants to show. Okay, I'll show it. Let me show you the terrorism on the streets of Portland today. This was the terrorism on the streets of Portland. Okay. There we go. That's the terrorism on the streets of Portland. Yeah, here. Very scary stuff. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Insurrection. First they came for the furries and I didn't speak up. I mean, like, seriously? It's a bunch of furry people and like dinosaurs and stuff. Yeah. Oh, so scary. What do we do? Dancing dinosaurs. Those scary liberals. Let me see. What else do I have here? What is this? Yeah, I don't even think I can show that one. What was this one?
And to allow Democrats.
Oh, that's true. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Let me ask you something else.
Oh, the musician thing. So there's a musician I'm not familiar with, Zach Bryan. He's got a new song. It's quite good. Is he a big deal, by the way, Zach Bryan? He's a country singer. I don't really follow country. I did hear a bit of his song that was online. He's got a new song criticizing ICE. Oh, he is a huge deal. Oh, that's interesting then, James. Okay, then that makes it a big deal. Okay, but I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't know country. I've never heard of him. The song was beautiful. I mean, his voice was beautiful, but I was like, I don't know him. Okay, so he's a big deal. Was this song a remake of an earlier song? He did it, a song criticizing ICE, the immigration attacks on our democracy. But I wasn't sure. I got the sense maybe it was an earlier song that he rewrote the lyrics for or not. It's a new song. Okay, it's a new song. Well, he does this song criticizing ICE. And of course, what happens? Kirsty Noem, the Homeland Security Director, publicly attacks him. Of course she does, because that's the fascist system we live in now, right? Again, if Joe Biden tried to tell people what kind of music to make, oh my God, right? Let me read you this from the New York Times. After Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, criticized new lyrics by the country music star Zach Bryan, warning that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, quote, is going to come bust down your door, they are, the musician pushed back on Tuesday, saying the lyrics had been misconstrued. It was the latest flashpoint, increasingly bitter clash. Noem has called Bryan's song completely disrespectful, and in pointed remarks aimed at him said, she was very happy that I never once gave you a single penny to enrich your lifestyle. Whatever that means. In a snippet of the untitled song, which Bryan posted to Instagram last week, he sings, the middle finger's rising, and it won't stop showing. Got some bad news? The fading of the red, white, and blue. It's a very good song. But of course, again, it's all about terrorizing all of us. They want to terrorize us. They want to make us afraid to speak. They want to make us afraid to stand up to people. Right? They want to make us afraid. Again, don't call us fascists. Don't call us Nzis. Don't criticize us. Actually, interestingly enough, they stopped the ICE thing. Remember how like a week or two ago, they were nonstop. Oh my God, stop criticizing ICE. You're going to cause violence. They stopped that. I think because the ICE stuff got so out of control, they realized even they're getting uncomfortable, defending ICE. And exactly, Janet, it's the self-censorship thing. Exactly. Yeah. What else we got? Preliminary data from the National Travel and Tourism Office shows the number of international visitors arriving to the U.S. on student visas declined 19% in August compared to the same month in 2024. August is the month everybody arrives for school. It's down almost 20% versus last year that we've lost 20% of our foreign students. That's money for our universities. That's people. It's called soft power. It's people we convince to like America. And when they go home, they like us and they get into government and they get in business. They get positions of power and they like our country and help us. It's people who, some of them end up being very smart and they end up staying or coming back and living here, right? Like basically you want to steal the best people from around the world. Big deal. Big deal. I don't blame them though. I've said this before. You're nuts if you want to come to this country now. You're absolutely nuts. If you're not American and you want to come to this country, danger. I just, no way. I don't know how people are going to do it for the World Cup and that kind of stuff. I just don't know how. I hate when they do it. I hate when Amazon does that, when the delivery guy just kind of decides he's not going to come and you get the notice and you're like, just decided he wasn't going to come. It's like, yeah, thank you. Sorry, I got a notice on my phone. I was wondering what was going on. I did get a few of it's Amazon Prime. I did get a few of the Amazon stuff arriving tomorrow. Okay. I did get a new speaker too for my my phone because of October 18th, which is the big rally against Trump for democracy. And I wanted some kind of a microphone that would work with my phone. So let's see if it works. I know. Well, the Amazon, they've been doing this more lately. They don't tend to do it to me. Right. And I'm paying for Prime. Exactly. It was supposed to come tonight and he's got 3 more hours or whatever. It's going to come tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal, but it's annoying, anyway, it's obnoxious. Anyway, but yes, we should go places. In DC, it's going to be noon to 2 on Saturday the 18th, down at like Constitution and 3rd Street, basically Canadian Embassy. I'm going to go there. Yep. I'm going to try to go live. It's probably not going to work. We tried this once at the Cherry Blossoms a couple of years ago, and there's so many other people trying to, upload to Instagram and everything else that the lives tend not to work. I'm going to try. I am not convinced it's going to work. I'm not convinced. Yeah, they don't guarantee anymore. Nope. So, I will try to go live for a bit. What I suspect, and my phone, by the way, the new operating system 26 with iPhone eats the battery like crazy. So I may have to be careful with that too. What I might do is I may film some videos, or who knows. That's funny. I know Damien liked the sidewalk video too. That's very funny. I never quite know if the sidewalk, I try to occasionally do videos when I'm walking the dog on the sidewalk. But Damien thought it looked okay too. What else we got here? Oh yeah. So Comey, I don't care. There's no news. I mean, Comey was arraigned today. Big deal. That's not I don't think there's any update on that. One thing I will say is so annoying. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. The Republicans have found their new fake scandal. The hypocrisy among the Republicans is astounding. Prime Day is not for Prime subscribers. No. Some of the deals are, I believe. Some of the deals I think are Prime only. But the Republicans have finally found a new scandal to deflect from everything. And of course, their new bullshit scandal is the biggest scandal ever. People need to go to jail. So January 6th, when MAGA and Trump tried to violently overthrow the government in a domestic terrorist attack on our Capitol, that was the day, just to explain to people again, that the election was being certified. Under the Constitution, the election gets certified on January 6th by the Congress. They certify the election. They go state by state and say, okay, Arizona, okay, yeah, we got the results, right? And then they decide, and officially Congress says Biden won. Well, they wanted to stop that because then they thought if the Congress, which they're not wrong, if the Congress doesn't certify that Biden won, then Biden didn't win, and who gets to be president? And right, Trump will just stay or whatever, right? So the insurrection happens. They try to violently overthrow the government. And keep in mind, they tried to violently overthrow the government. We all agreed on January 6th. It was the most, even Republicans were like, that's it, we're done with Donald Trump. Then they came back and embraced him. FBI investigates. And among other things, they looked at the phone records of senators who were communicating with Trump that day. There were senators and House members, Josh Hawley of Missouri, that lunatic Jim Jones, or what the hell's his name? I'm already forgetting his name. What's his name? Not Jim Jones. You know who I mean. The idiot from the House. Jordan. Thank you. Jim Jordan. I have a friend, Jim Jones. Sorry, Jim. Jim Jordan. The idiot Jim Jordan was communicating with Trump as well. Other people. And they looked at their phone records because this looked to be a larger conspiracy. Republicans are now saying, oh, Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley. Remember Josh Hawley? What was it? Did he do this? Remember, Josh Hawley was the senator who was running by and cheered on all the January 6th domestic terrorists with his fist in the air. Josh Hawley, they tapped my phone. They didn't tap his phone. They looked at the phone records to see who he called and when. No records overall. Let me read you this. Ken Delaney and MSNBC. No, senators weren't wiretapped or spied on. Their calling records were obtained lawfully by FBI agents trying to figure out who Donald Trump was talking to amid his allegedly criminal scheme to overturn the election. And they fired the FBI agents. The FBI agents who were investigating, they just fired them. Guys, even worse. This is a scandal. They were spying on U.S. senators and congressmen. Fox News, of course. The Democrat reaction to January 6th was worse than January 6th. So now they're saying the investigation of the domestic terrorist attack on our country was worse than the domestic terrorist attack itself. Lindsey Graham was involved as well. They are justifying a further fascist authoritarian crackdown. Because now, watch what they're going to do next. They're now going to go after everybody in the FBI who was involved. I guarantee you, they're going to try to go after Biden now. They can't because of the Supreme Court decision. They'll try to go after Biden. They're going to try to go after probably like the congressional committee. They're going to go after everybody. They're going to go after absolutely everybody. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. I mean, this is sick stuff. But again, Republicans being how they are, and they're always good at this, right? They're always good at this. The Republicans are going to, they're going to turn this into the biggest scandal ever. Of course, Trump is allowed to indict everybody who's political opponents. They did it to him, except they didn't, right? Yeah, absolutely sick stuff. Absolutely sick stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, God bless her, weird little soul. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the biggest MAGA congresswoman. And she, you may recall the other day, came out in support of extending the Obamacare ACA Affordable Care Act subsidies. It's one of the big reasons the government was shut down. Republicans refused to extend the subsidies. Thank you, Sandria, for health care and health insurance. Health insurance is very expensive in America. These subsidies would help millions of Americans. And a lot of people's insurance premiums are going to double. I pay $1,500 a month for insurance. I mean, crazy amounts. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's MAGA to the core, she comes out the other night and tweets and says, I'm against the Republicans. Thank you, Diva. I am against my own Republican Party. Thank you, Claire. And I say we have to extend the Obamacare subsidies, which is amazing. She went on TV again and talked about it again today. What happened with her was her adult child is on Obamacare, and their premiums are going to double, which is interesting. And her what do you call it? Her constituents, a lot of them get the subsidies. Basically, the Obamacare subsidies go mostly to Republicans. And that's why now Republicans are starting to freak out. Thank you, Claire. I think the shutdown thing is going to be very interesting. I think Republicans are in trouble on the shutdown. Certainly when it comes to Obamacare. Medicare, hard to say because a lot of the Medicare cuts don't go into, they don't get implemented for another year plus. But the Obamacare stuff, people literally, they're your insurance premiums. You know if your insurance premiums double, right? You know if you've got to pay another $4,000 to $6,000 a year for your insurance. That's obvious. Like that hits your pocket right away. Medicaid. Did I say Medicare? Medicaid cuts. Thank you, Melanie. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Okay, this was very scary. I did not hear about this. Let me read you this from Politico. All right. Democratic voting rights groups are preparing for a nightmare scenario if the Supreme Court guts a key part of the landmark civil rights era legislation, the Voting Rights Act, a very real possibility this term. Ahead of the court's October 15th rehearing of Louisiana v. Calais, a case that has major implications for the VRA, two voting rights groups are sounding the alarm, warning that eliminating Section 2, a provision that prohibits racial gerrymandering when it dilutes minority voting power, complicated, but just listen, would let the Republican Supreme Court, the MAGA Supreme Court, is considering landmark civil rights legislation that's been on the books for decades. They're considering getting rid of some of it, and you know they probably will, because these are MAGA guys. If they strike down this civil rights law, the Republicans will be able to steal 19 House seats by redrawing them, 19 more. And if they do that, we can kiss the House goodbye for a long time coming. They're going to steal the House, and they're going to, this isn't democracy anymore. It is incredibly dangerous. It is incredibly scary stuff is going on here. Anyway. And it affects minority representation as well, of course. European arms company, there isn't really much Ukraine news, to be honest, but European arms company Thales or whatever has raised concerns over the number of unidentified drones spotted recently over its Belgian facility, which produces 70-millimeter rockets. So the Russians are now doing even more drones over Western Europe, over Belgian arms. Honestly, guys, I've said it before, Ronald Reagan would know how to deal with the Russians. The Russians are basically declaring acts of war on the Europeans left and right. The Europeans should respond in kind. I really mean it. I think if the Russians do that, I would literally be like, okay, well, starting tonight, we're going to be sending hundreds of drones or more into Russian cities. And they're going to come from all the NATO countries. Screw you. Just screw you. You want to do that? Then we're going to send our drones in and they're going to interfere with your air traffic and everything else. You know? But they need to, these are acts of war and they're getting away with it. And they're doing more and more and more because they're getting away with it. Again, Reagan had his problems, but Reagan would have absolutely ramped up and said, okay, that's it. Right? Right? You're not getting away with this anymore. It's very bad. It's very bad. Adjust this. There we go. Anyway, oh my God. Anyway, well, we're heading into the winter months, which is nice because then my lighting looks good in my apartment. So that's a good thing. Makes me feel good. I mean, summer's nice, but I think the background lighting for the show is nice. So anyway, oh man. Marjorie Taylor Greene is changing her view on Obamacare because her kids are affected. You know, I know Ron, sorry. Ron says he likes my content, but gets anxiety every time I listen. We are in a very dangerous time right now. Very dangerous. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. I mean, I tell people, you know, when I talk about the war in Ukraine, I usually try to calm people down because people say, oh my God, are we going to war? And I'm like, no. In this situation, it's the opposite. Because TikTok is TikTok, they're weird. I am being very careful about how I'm talking about Trump and the danger he poses. I think the danger from Trump to our country and our democracy is far more than I'm even allowed to say because I think TikTok would freak out. It's that bad. Yeah. It is incredibly dangerous what's going on. Elton John. Oh, the Elton John glasses. Thank you for that. It's funny. I noticed them. I forgot who did the Elton John glasses? I just noticed them. I literally it was Melanie. Thank you, Melanie. I do not listen to Taylor Swift, so I did not listen to her new album. I don't dislike the woman, but I don't. Yeah, thank you, Melanie. I don't dislike the woman, but sorry, I was in the middle of talking and I noticed them, but I meant to thank you. Thank you for that. Anyway, I thought that was French because I knew that Taz, I was going to say, I know that name as French, but I wasn't thinking of it as, I saw Belgian and I got confused. Exactly. JFK knew how to do it with the Russians. No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I like Taylor Swift. Obviously. I mean, I've listened to some of her music. It's nice. It's kind of thoughtful and almost melancholy, I felt. Epstein, lots of blackmail. Lots of blackmail. And if we ever find out how deeply Trump, one of the things that a Democratic senator asked during the hearing with Pam Bondi yesterday was, is it true that there are photos of Donald Trump with half-naked women with Jeffrey Epstein? Oh! I mean, that I thought was very interesting. That was very interesting. This Epstein stuff, I'm telling you, God knows what's in those files. He obviously is never going to release them. God only knows what's in there. But there is something, and it's big, clearly. And she didn't answer the question exactly. He's got to be in there so badly. And I mean, it's Donald freaking Trump. You think he went over to Epstein's and was like, oh no, I'm a teetotaler. I would never dabble in those things Jeffrey Epstein offers. Oh no. Donald Trump? Sure. Yeah. And also young girls. Donald Trump's never shown an interest in young girls, has he? No. Right? Please. Oh, hey, Jean-Marc. Good to see you. Anyway. Man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, he was undercover. Exactly. He was trying to save those girls, one girl at a time, one massage bed at a time. Yeah. No, it's disgusting. Right. That's what I mean. The way he was at the pageants, he barged in on the 15-year-old girls at the beauty pageant. I mean, you know. Rick, I don't know what you're talking about. Rick Wynn. Anyway. The files, I don't know if they'll be leaked. I hope they'll be leaked. I don't know. New York City mayor election. I'm not following it too closely. I mean, I'm not a big, what's his face fan. I'm sorry, but I think you can get too far left and he's going to be used. I hope he doesn't hurt New York, but he's way too far left for me. And I think it's dangerous for the party overall. I do. I think Republicans are so good at destroying us. The fact that he's some far left socialist, they're going to have so much fun with him. It's not even funny. So much fun. Unfortunately, what do you do? I mean, voters vote. We're a democracy. You get who you vote for, obviously. How soon do I think Trump will use the Insurrection Act? He is allegedly waiting until the courts say no. I think he's waiting for violence. I think he's trying to promote violence by sending these troops in, and he's hoping for violence that then he can say insurrection. I mean, he's already claiming insurrection, but he needs the violence. And then he's going to do it. Yeah. It's bad. And the question is, where is he going to stop? Is he going to take over cities? Is he going to take over states? Is he going to take over voting in the states? I mean, where does it stop? Yeah, exactly. Obama stuff. No, the Republicans are great at demonizing. Absolutely great. Very scary stuff. The means of production. Exactly, Janet. What happens if you use the Insurrection Act? It allows him. Well, I'm trying to think. Interesting question. I mean, they take over law enforcement, I believe. It's an interesting question because I looked it up. Let's actually pull that up again. That's a good question because what I saw was they take over law enforcement, although they're doing a lot of that anyway. So I'm curious as to how it differs from what they're doing now, right? Let's see, because there've got to be some good art. What happens if Trump? Hold on. Insurrection Act. Because it's already, he's already taking over law enforcement and everything else. Let's see here. Let's see what CNN says. I trust them. All right. Let's see. And this is new. We know what it. Trump suggested he could invoke the Insurrection Act in order to send U.S. troops to Portland. He's already tried to label far-left anti-fascist protesters as domestic terrorists. Antifa doesn't exist. The law allows the deployment of troops in the U.S. in certain limited situations. First, a governor or legislature can request it. Let me see here. Okay, includes this, which seems to get considers the president when he or she considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages, gatherings of people, or rebellion against the authority of the United States makes it impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, he may call into federal service such of the militia of any state, so the National Guard of the state, and use such of the armed forces, military, as he considers necessary. Oh, that's what it is, to enforce those laws or suppress the rebellion. I forgot about that. It allows Trump to use the U.S. military. It's really creepy when it does stuff like that. My TV turned itself on. I said, you were right. That was a little weird. My TV just turned itself on. It's Google. Who the hell knows? One of the things the Insurrection Act allows is it allows Trump to use the U.S. military for local law enforcement. That is not allowed under U.S. law. It is allowed under the Insurrection Act. So all of a sudden now he's got the U.S. military on the ground doing law enforcement. Now, he's already kind of doing it with the National Guard, right? But, so he is already doing it to a degree. What worries me, though, is, listen to this. He may call into federal service such of the militia of any state or use the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or to suppress the rebellion. Yeah. I'm kind of curious. What I'm curious is we need to find something. See, we need to find I want to find a better legal analysis on this, because what I'm curious about is, all right, I hate to do this. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I worry a little with ChatGPT because it's good, but it's not 100%. But let's see what it says here, okay? Let me see here. Okay, I have a question about Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act, period. It allows him to take the National Guard of a state. It allows him to send in federal troops themselves, like the U.S. military, to take over law enforcement roles. But didn't he already do that? I mean, he already did that in California. He sent in the National Guard and he sent in the Marines. How is it any different under the Insurrection Act than what Trump is already doing? Let's see. I know she's not going for water yet. She's still asleep in her little bed. It's very cute. I washed her bed yesterday. She's got a cat bed because she likes to be snuggly. I'll show you. It's very cute. So you can see here. But she's got and I washed it yesterday, so it looks good. But it's very cute because she's like super, super cuddly in her. It's hard to. Hold on. Well, it's good enough. I think it's good enough for you to see. You'll be able to see. But you can see she's like, the bed just envelops her, which is very cute. I always like how cute she is in there. Here you can see. She's like just sunken in the middle of the bed. And it's very sweet. And she loves that bed because she just like sinks into it. And the high wall. It's literally a cat bed. It's a cat bed. But yeah, it's very cute because it's all snuggled inside. But I had like the epiphany a couple of years ago because she likes blankets and stuff and underneath pillows. And I thought, what about a cat bed? Like high walls? And oh my God, loves it. Absolutely loves it. All right. The distinction comes down to which statutes he invokes, the powers they confer, blah, blah, blah. Key background, to understand. Okay. Posse comitatus. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to summarize this for my TikTok audience. Give me a shorter 1 or 2 paragraph answer as to what the difference is between what Trump is already doing in California, for example, when he sent the National Guard and sent the Marines, and what he would do by invoking the Insurrection Act. Isn't it the same thing? He'd be able to use Marines to police locally, but he already did that in California. All right, it gave me too long of an answer to read to you guys. Here's how you can explain it clearly for TikTok, all right? Trump has already sent federal troops. Oh, thank you, Annie. Appreciate that. Very sweet of you. Are we going for the Halloween goat? Keep the gifts coming, guys. Are we going for a Halloween goat? Okay. We got our Halloween goat. Get ready. This is our Halloween goat. One more time. Thank you, Annie. Appreciate that. Trump has already sent federal troops and National Guard units in. Well, let me see what somebody's saying here. It allows him to stay president. Trump has already sent federal troops and National Guard units into places like California, but that's not the same as invoking the Insurrection Act. Right now, he's using limited legal authority that lets troops protect federal property or assist federal agents, but not act as police. They can't arrest civilians. Didn't they? They can't arrest civilians, break up protest, or take over local law enforcement. In fact, courts have already ruled some of what he's doing illegal. That's true. The cases are still going through the courts, but a lot of this was ruled illegal. I believe the California stuff, Trump lost in the lower courts, I think, and we already know he's in trouble in Oregon. Okay, so part of it is what he's doing is legally questionable. Under Insurrection Act, he'd be allowed to do it. If Trump invoked the Insurrection Act, it would change everything. That law is a 200-year-old exception that does let a president use the military for domestic law enforcement to restore order, suppress rebellion, or enforce federal law, even over a governor's objections. In short, what he's doing now is skirting the edge of the law. Well, okay, yes. Okay, what he's doing now might be illegal, but it would be allowed under the Insurrection Act. I guess my point is, other than metaphorically it's sounding really scary, what is the difference between what he already did in California and what he would do under the Insurrection Act? It sounds like it's the same thing. Like it's not any worse. It just metaphorically is worse because he's literally claiming there's a rebellion when there isn't. You get my question there, right? I mean, for you guys. In practical terms, the difference can look small. Soldiers on the streets are soldiers. I will say ChatGPT freaks me out how it thinks things immediately. Soldiers on the streets are soldiers on the streets. Correct. The real difference is legal and symbolic, and that's what's dangerous. Right now, Trump is in a legal gray zone. He's using the military in limited, arguably illegal ways, and courts can stop him. Under the Insurrection Act, he'd legalize that use of force. He could order troops to act as police, arrest civilians, patrol neighborhoods, control protests, and do it over a governor's objections. So the change isn't just metaphorical. It's that Insurrection Act gives him sweeping lawful power to use the U.S. military against Americans. It turns a possibly unlawful deployment into an officially sanctioned one. Okay, but would the military doing local police actions, would they not have to follow the same rules of evidence, the same rules of due process that police would have to follow? In theory, yes, the Constitution still applies. You have to love that. You have to love that things are getting so bad that ChatGPT is saying, in theory, the Constitution still applies. That's nice. In theory, we still have a Constitution. Soldiers can't just ignore the Fourth Amendment searches, Fifth Amendment self-incrimination, 14th due process. But in practice, once the military is doing police work, those safeguards get shaky fast. Here's why. Now this is true. Military forces are not trained for civilian policing or criminal procedure. They don't carry body cameras. They don't get Miranda training. This is actually a very good point. They don't get Miranda training. Miranda training in America is when the police arrest you and they have to read you a statement, and the court said very specific, you have the right to remain silent. If you have the anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. They have to read that exact statement to you when you're arrested, or they're in serious trouble. Police are not trained to do that. I mean, military is not trained to do that. These guys wouldn't even know the Miranda rights to read to you. They don't carry body cameras. They don't get Miranda training. They don't process evidence or handle arrests under the same chain of custody. Right. So they don't know, would they have evidence bags? When they get the evidence, do they know how to handle it correctly so that when it goes to court, the evidence wasn't corrupted? In past Insurrection Act deployments, like in Detroit in 67 or Los Angeles in 92, there were widespread civil rights violations and wrongful detentions, even though the law technically still required due process. Okay, so it's kind of what you think, which is if we're going to let the military start arresting civilians and doing local police work, they're going to do it the way the military does it, which is shooting people and killing people and not reading them their rights, because that's not what the military does. And the military isn't trained for it. The military doesn't know about our rights. I mean, it's very scary. They definitely need body cameras. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, correct, Gunther. They would have to say, read this to you if you arrest somebody. But here's a problem. When is it lawful to arrest somebody? When is it lawful to stop somebody? What is probable cause? What is reasonable suspicion, right? I mean, you're going to suddenly train these country bumpkins in the National Guard or wherever first of all, there are National Guards already doing it in due process. I mean, that's the problem. And reasonable suspicion and whatever the freaking standards are, probable cause. I mean, I get confused with probable cause, right? That's the problem. You can give them the statement to read, but how do you train them when it's okay to even stop them, right? When is it okay to stop them? Deep. You're taking a timeout. There you go. You can come back in 5 minutes and see if you're feeling better. Well, National Guard is better trained than ICE, but barely. National Guard gets 2 days of training a month. These guys do other work. They don't know how to do police work. They're not even military. They get 2 days of military training a month out of 30 days. That's not military training, let alone they're not trained for police work at all. right? I mean, mulch. Exactly. They were putting mulch down in DC. Exactly. Um, you know, uh, anyway, National Guard trained. Did he do National Guard? Did Hegseth do? Oh, that's interesting. I was wondering about that, Crystal. I was wondering if there were any full-time Guard folks. Crystal says her son is National Guard, works 40 hours a week in the field. Okay, that's good at least. They're still not trained to be police. They're not trained for all the police stuff necessarily. But yeah, to see video of ICE taking down a guy in Chicago by grabbing his throat, pushing him down. No. I don't think it's 2 weekends a month. I think it's 1 weekend a month. It's not 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, but National Guard is 2 days a month or 1 weekend. I don't think it's 2 weekends. Is it 2 weekends? It's 1 weekend. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's 1 weekend. Yeah, it's 1 weekend. 2 days or 1 weekend. Yeah, 2 weeks a year. Exactly. 2 weeks a year. 2 weeks a year of military training is not military training. I'm sorry. Because part of the problem is you're not on the job either. You could say, well, other troops get 2 weeks a year training. Yeah, but they're troops like 365 days a year. Taking down his throat, but was actually an alderman. I'd have to see that. Yeah, I've got to see which video you're talking about. Would Trump try something during the October 18th protests? Maybe. I'm going anyway. Yeah, well, Rick, I'm certainly not going to talk about that publicly, but I will be. We'll leave it at that. So, I mean, it's legal. It's legal, but I'm not going to discuss it publicly. But it's a very good question that everybody should keep in mind. Up now, the dog wants water. I'll give her credit. She went out. Her 7 o'clock is her usual time. It's her usual time to bug me. All right, crazy. Yeah. All right. There you go. Okay. All right. Oh boy. All right. Ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. Anyway. No, Rick was asking how we all protect ourselves if the rule of law goes away. That's a question that TikTok, even though I could give you a legal answer, TikTok probably wouldn't like it. So you all will have to figure out on your own how you protect yourself if the rule of law goes away and the country falls apart. There are certainly legal ways you can do that to make sure your home is safe and your person is safe. But I wouldn't want to talk about it because TikTok wouldn't like it, even though it's totally legal under one of the constitutional amendments. So, but TikTok probably wouldn't like it, so I'm going to let it go. I think it's to the Americans, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but as I said, it's totally legal, but TikTok probably still wouldn't like it, so I'm not going to go there. The 18th, there are huge. The people who did the protest against Trump in June, maybe? These were the No Kings protests, were the protests that I did not know were happening. Even Sasha knows. I did not know they were happening. And they ended up being huge nationwide protests. They're doing them again on October 18th. And this time, I imagine they should, I mean, I'm going this time. This time they should be massive. October 18th, you can Google it. Washington, D.C. is going to be down by the Canadian embassy. It's not boycotting the Canadians. But, all right, I'm letting you out, but you better not eat plants. Don't eat plants. I told you, I've caught her now just eating plants left and right. Thank you, Garden. Oh, there's an October gift. Thank you, Garden Girl. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Come on. Keep the gifts coming. But yes, you can Google the protests. So, the respirator mask. I mean, it shouldn't. There should. Then again, Trump could in Washington D.C. You never know. I'm going anyway. But I know Sasha made good choices. I know. Oh, she's bad. She's very bad. So anyway. That's funny. Diva says, I asked ChatGPT if Cheney or Trump were more dangerous to the Constitution. The answer, Trump's constitutional violations and norm breaking go substantially beyond Cheney's. Oh, yeah. In both scope and... Oh, absolutely. I don't think Cheney did anything like Trump. I mean, Cheney, Oh, thank you. Oh, that's a cool gift. Oh, that's Cooper. Thank you, Christina. I'm glad I caught it. Thank you for the autumn love and the pumpkins, Heather. That was... Sorry, I'm looking at the dog. Sasha? Come on. Thank you. Hi. Come on. I see you. Yeah. Back in your little corner. Come on. There you go. All right. Okay. I have a number of... Hey, I've still got those Christmas cactus cuttings. They need to get sent out. I'm forgetting if it was Flower Lady and some of the others. We've got to get those cuttings sent because we're going to get... They've been growing for 2 years. They've been growing for 2 years. Oh, I don't need a hoodie and stuff for a protest. I'm not planning on doing anything illegal. I'm not going to go and tear the White House down. So yeah, I don't think I need a hoodie or anything else. Oh, I don't know. I haven't been seeing what's been going on with Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly in Israel. Not at all. Not at all. Flower Lady Poppy, you and someone else. Well, Arctic wanted stuff, but I can't send stuff to Canada across the border. They'll get pissed. But, well, what do you bring to not get sprayed? What do you bring with? Do I bring a neck gaiter? I mean, what do you do? Skin, eye, and ear protection. God. Goggles. I may still have milk. I may still have my ski goggles. I've got to look for them. I do have a gas mask, actually. I've got a gas mask from Israel in 1991. It's one of the Israeli gas masks that they used when Saddam Hussein was sending the Scud missiles into Israel. They gave Sasha, you're done. No, you're done. Cut it out. They gave it as a gift to the senator I was working for, and he gave it to me. And like an idiot, I threw out the box. I don't know why I didn't keep the box, but I've got the gas mask. It's very cool. Well, I mean, I'm not bringing my gas mask. Come on. I've got my bandana. Yeah. Water. All right. Well, I'll bring some of the stuff just in case. Oh, hello. Thank you oh, that's a fabulous gift. We love that one. Ooh, Bryce, thank you for the flying jets. The flying jets, that's not a UN story, is it? Are the jets a UN story? Damn. Damn. Although we are towards the end of the show. I have to think of a UN story I haven't told yet. I mean, I've told a lot of them anyway. God, I'm trying to remember some of the other UN stories. I mean, because I've got like the old, I mean, there were so many. God, what was the, I have to think about this though. I have to think about this. Because like I said, I've told you guys I mean, not that you've all heard all of them, right? Because you're here at different times I used to work at the United Nations back in 2015, 2016, the most horrific job of my life, a horrific place, spoiled brats, spoiled children. They don't work hard. They're corrupt as hell. I'm trying to think, God, but I'm trying to think here. What was the, well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've told you guys some of the worst ones that pissed me off. I've already told you. I mean, the one, I mean, there were many. One, like I told you, that really got me was my boss was a horrific human being. She was the head of communications at UNDP, a bully. I mean, I worked for Ted Stevens. He was a bully. This woman was potentially worse. He was bad. She was worse, which is hard to be worse than him as far as bullying. She, I think, was in over her head. She's also just a horrifically mean boss, a bully. In an American workplace, I would have sued her for a lot of money and made a lot of money. I think when I started on the job, before I even got there, I go and they have a retreat for the communications department, like a month before I start working. Because I told her, I said, okay, I need 6 weeks because I need 2 months or whatever, because I've got to move from DC and everything else. And she has me come to the retreat, which is a month before I start. I fly out to New Jersey for the retreat. And she asks me, because I get to meet everybody, how do you like? That was a very nice gift. That was a very nice gift. That's why, because I don't like telling my UN story, so I made it an expensive gift so it wouldn't happen all the time. That was very sweet. And she says, oh, so how did you met all the staff, you met all the people in our division. What did you think? And I said, oh my God, they're so nice. They were very nice. I mean, a lot of them were backstabbing jerks, I found out later, but a lot of them were very nice. And I said, very nice. I said, these were some of the nicest people. I said, and what was impressive was, I said, a lot of the people had read up on me because they started talking to me about my blogging and stuff. They said, oh, I think it's interesting. You're a blogger. Like I said, I was actually rather impressed. They read up on who I was. It was very nice. And she goes, what were you expecting? Now, this woman was a class A B word, class A horrific. And I mean, and I'd already experienced her doing these snippy, nasty comments. She's the one in we go to lunch before my interview. We go to lunch. Friend put us in touch. We go to lunch, and in the middle of the interview, and I was on some medication for something that had me going through. I was I can't remember what the medication was. I was so hyper from this medication, but I mean, hyper through the roof. And it's hard because you can't, I've only had this happen a few times. I mean, I'm a fast person to start with. This medication made me hyper and I couldn't control it. So I was speaking very quickly, whatever. And she goes, well, I was going to say before you interrupted me, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at her, I was, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I've never met this woman before. A friend puts us together in common who says, I think you guys should meet. You could potentially work together. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. And in the middle of the lunch, well, I was going to say before you interrupted me, that's the kind of thing you say to someone who's an asshole, right? That's the kind of thing you say antagonistically to someone. You don't say that to someone that our mutual friend put us together for lunch because they thought you two, I think, would be great together, right? And let's scheme and see if we can work together. That's not who you say that to. You say that to somebody you hate, right? Somebody you're at war with. She's an American, not a different culture. She's an American from New York City. She's not a different, that's the thing. She's not a different culture. So we go to this thing, this retreat. And she says to me, so what did you think of the staff that you met? Our staff or the division overall? And I said, I was so impressed. I said, some of the nicest people. And she goes, well, what were you expecting? And immediately my warning bells are going off. I'm like, oh God, here we go again. Then the nasty Sybil is back. And I said, well, I was expecting meeting people who didn't know me. So now I'm thinking on my feet going, oh my God, how do I, it's like talking to Donald Trump. How do I dig myself out of something that I didn't do anything wrong, but now I'm in trouble? And I said, well, I was expecting they wouldn't know who I was, and they did know who I was. And I thought that was really nice, going the extra mile. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Then 3 weeks later, she has us doing these nonstop meetings, horrific, like 6 hours a day, meetings with people to learn the agency, 6 weeks of meetings, 6 hours a day. It was out of control. And she says, oh, so how are the meetings? And I said, really good. What did you think of everybody? Right? Thank you, Terry. And I made the mistake of telling her the truth. What did you think of the people you're meeting in the building? This is like 3 weeks later. And I said, oh, they were amazing. I said, I was so impressed. I said, I've met some of the most interesting people, nice people. I said, a lot of them were really fascinating intellectually. I said, really, I've been blown away. What were you expecting? I don't understand this. This is the second time, guys, I am giving you this almost verbatim. And by the way, I took notes. I've got notes on this. I am giving you this almost verbatim. This is the second time you have said this to me, that you have expressed surprise because your coworkers were nice and smart and interesting. What did you think they were going to be like? Again, she was head of the communications division at United Nations Development Program. You can Google who she was back in 2016, 2015. Horrific bully. And I'm, again, trying to dig myself out rather than saying to her, you need to back off because you're harassing me. This is bullying and this is harassment, and it's very strange. You are attacking me for telling you I like my coworkers. What is the appropriate answer I'm supposed to give you if telling you I like my coworkers is somehow getting me in trouble? What answer am I supposed to give you? She was horrific, absolutely horrific. She's the one that came up to me that same weekend, bonus story, and we have a big banquet, and there's some guy they invite from Washington who's a big internet marketing expert. He's not. He's like 65, 70 years old. I suspect he wasn't an expert, but that's fine. He probably briefed, maybe he was, but probably briefed by the kids, because this is 10 years ago. Some 65-year-old 10 years ago, maybe he was an internet marketing expert. I'm not convinced, but that's fine. He gave a good speech, talked about all these different UN agencies and all this using the internet, all this kind of stuff. And he's talking about, I don't know who, UNICEF, somebody did some videos that went viral or something. And they went, 6 million people saw the video, something like that. So that was cool. So I asked him, so quick Q&A. I raised my hand. And our division head, the boss of the mean boss, goes, "Ooh, he's our new head of internet. This should be a good question." And I said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." I said, "Yeah, I'm the head of internet." I said, "I'm curious, you mentioned that UNICEF had a viral video that 6 million people saw." And I said, that's really good. I said, "But I'm curious, you've worked with a lot of private sector, and in the private sector, they often ask, what's the return on investment?" Right? Like they would say, okay, you got 6 million views. What did it get you? Did it sell more products? Did it, I don't know, right? Did it shift polling in our favor? But like what? So I said for an organization like UNICEF, did it bring in more donations? Did it bring in more people subscribing to their email list? I said, do you have any data? I'm just curious, like, did you see that kind of quantifiable? Because I said, I always wonder too, when things go viral, I think it's good, but then I wonder, did it really make a difference? And he goes, "Oh, that's a good question." He goes, "Yes, we have seen data showing blah, 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 blah." Okay. She comes up to me. I'm talking to my new staff after we're still in the same room. It's a dinner, but we're kind of mingling. Comes up to me, mind you, and this is, again, verbatim, the tone and everything. I'm talking to my new staff, a woman there, and she comes up and she goes, "That was the worst question I have ever heard in my life." I said, "Excuse me? You work for the United Nations. You do not work for a private company. No one cares what private companies do. This is different. We don't work like them." I said, "Well, Mila, what I was specifically asking was whether the campaign had an impact that applies to the United Nations. If something goes viral, we need to know not just did it go viral, but did it make a difference? Did it change people's minds? Did it get us more subscribers? Did it get us more donations? Did it get us foreign governments who give us money liking us more?" All of that is relevant. Oh, she was, but I mean, telling me that is the worst question I have ever heard. And again, telling me you need to understand who you work for. You don't work for the private sector anymore. Guys, this was her tone of voice. This was the way she said it. And again, I'm looking at her and I'm going, lady, you have poor internet experience. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm one of the top people in the country and the world. Now there's more. I mean, I'm still important, but 10 years ago, especially, like, I was one of the trendsetters in politics in the internet from 1995. Okay. Like, I'm one of the original people that got politics launched in America on the internet. And like, I mean, again, I don't want to knock myself. I mean, I don't want to toot myself too much here, but like, I know this shit. She does not. And to tell me that was a horrific question. I've never heard a question so bad. My question was first of all, you heard my question. My question was a damn good question and highly relevant. She was so freaking mean. And again, I left that meeting And I went home and I remember I had lunch with my cousin and his wife, and I said, I've made a huge mistake. I can't work for this woman. She's horrible. They did have internet in 1995. Yes. We got, hey, quiet. I was early late 94, either December of 94 or January of 95. I've always been into tech stuff. I schmoozed the internet people at the Children's Defense Fund where I was working. And I said, this internet thing, can I get it? The web. And she goes, yes, I'll give it to you. Cause I was friends with them. And she got me set up for the web. And again, I don't remember what the web was back then, but it was still blew my mind, whatever the hell. Exactly. Gunther. Exactly. Whatever it was, it blew my mind back then. Yeah. 1995, we had it. Very cool. So yes, that was the UN. In a million years, I should have never gone work for her. I did make some good money. I left after a year. I had to hire a lawyer because she was so bad. Let's just say I left happy. One of those, I can't discuss the details. I left happy. She was not. And I'm told she disappeared a few years later. So anyway, I mean, I know the people who introduced us, we're still friends, but my God, I wish I'd been told how bad she was, No, I mean, literally to have somebody talk to you that way. And again, the problem is my generation, we've learned to bow down to bosses. You don't tell a boss that was rude. You don't tell a boss that was inappropriate. I think today kids do it too much because I had it at the UN. I think what you're telling me to do isn't my job. I literally had consultants go, I think that's your job, John. That's not my job. And I'm like, you're a consultant that I pay you. Your job is whatever I tell you it is, but you couldn't say that because it's the UN. I told you my head of social media didn't want to do my head of social media at the UN. She's the head of all social media for United Nations Development Program. Didn't like social media. She's the head of all social media for a UN agency. Doesn't like social media. I'd give her stuff to do. John, I told you I don't like to do social media. I don't want to do it. I don't like to do social media. I'm like, lady, she was this German woman. Lady, you're the head of social media for UNDP. You can't not do social media because you don't like social media. I said, you need to find another job if you don't like social media and your job is literally the head of social media. I mean, unbelievable. This is who these people were. Horrific people. Absolutely horrific people. Yeah. All right. Exactly. I'll save the further stories. But no, I should not have taken the job. I should have walked out. When she did that to me in front of the staff, I should have said, okay, I know who you are. You're incredibly rude. You're a bully. And there is not enough money you could offer me in the world to work for you because you're nasty. I'm going back to my room and back to New York and you can find somebody else. But that was nasty as hell, what you just did, and completely inappropriate. And once I stood up to her, and I should have done it more. I mean, I stood up to her when I hired the lawyer. That was fun. What was the other? I know I don't want to give too many stories now, but she tried to run me out of there. I mean, she was horrible. She tried to run me out of there. And I had already hired the lawyer at this point. And she sat me down and was trying to scare me into leaving, but I hired a lawyer already, and she didn't know it. So she's trying to scare me. And at this point, once I heard the lawyer, I was like, thank God. And we sat down and she was trying to I'm very concerned about you. Yeah, sure you are. Hi. Sure you are, lady. And just kind of scare. I'm going to tell you anyway, the story. I'm very concerned about you. And she's saying all this bullshit about me and how bad I am or whatever. And she looks at me and again, said all this horrible stuff about me. So I was like, I'd already talked to the lawyer. And he goes, just let her say what she wants. Just, be judicious. Don't say too much stuff. So I said, okay. So I sat there. I let her say all the bad stuff about me. And I said, And then she stopped. I said, and I just looked at her. And she looked at me. I said nothing. And finally she goes, mind you, she just spent 5 minutes saying shit about me, right? You're a bad worker. You're this kind of total lie. And she looked at me and she goes, and I looked at her and I went, I got to do what I've never been able to do in life. This quote, quiet, please. I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry. I didn't hear a question. She crapped her pants. I mean, oh my God. She goes, that's how it's going to be. It was, guys, it was delicious because it is. That's one. It's almost a cliche, but it's not a cliche. Literally, somebody's berating you, the boss, and you know it's full of bullshit. She's trying to scare me and everything else, and then she stopped. He goes, and I just looked at her, and finally she was like, "Mhm." Like, and you? I said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear a question. I know she wanted me to flip out or do. Maybe she was recording it. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah. It was great. Oh my God. Horrific human being. Again, she's in the private sector now. Oh boy. Private sector is under US employment laws. Oh boy. UN, harder to sue somebody at the UN, although you can embarrass them. US, very easy to sue somebody for workplace bullying. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to go because it's already 7:24. I don't want to go too late here. I know I gave too many stories. I need to write down my UN. Thank you again. That was very generous of you for the fighter pilot gift. But anyway, she's never going to learn. No, just horrific bullying human being. All right, I'm going to go, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow. Saturday. Well, let's see. We'll deal with this when we get to it. Peace deal's been signed. That's interesting. Let's see. I mean, Trump's a liar, so let's see what he actually said. But maybe peace deal's been signed. He still doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize for being a fascist dictator. Doesn't work. Quiet, please. Jeez. Hey, stop. 7:30, she gets her little treat, and she's like, I want a treat. I hear you. All right, stop, please. Let me see here. It's a ceasefire deal, not a peace deal. Okay, that's the first thing. Big French foreign policy guy. It's a ceasefire deal, not a peace deal. Hostages to be released on Sunday. That's interesting. Okay. Well, something's, I mean, it's something. Well, very interesting. I mean, very interesting. Now, ceasefires can get broken, obviously, and I'd like to know what they agreed to as far as what Hamas agreed to. First phase of Gaza peace deal. Okay. They agreed to the first phase. This is HuffPost. Oh, this is AP. Okay, Associated Press. Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of his peace plan to pause fighting and release at least some hostages and prisoners, Trump said. This means that, we don't care what Trump says. He lies. Negotiators have been meeting Egypt for days. The initial agreement was confirmed by Israeli officials and Hamas as well as Qatar. It was not immediately clear whether the parties had made any progress on thornier questions about the future of the conflict, including whether Hamas will demilitarize as Trump has demanded. Okay. So we don't have any details yet. So there was some initial agreement that hostages will be released. Trump claims this means all of the hostages will be released very soon and Israel withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first step towards a strong, durable, everlasting peace. Okay. This sounds okay. Let's see. Maybe. I mean, it's a ceasefire, like the French guy said. It's a ceasefire, which is good. We've had them before and they failed. But if the hostages are released, that's good, right? Let's see. Quiet. Let's see. Very interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see. I'm not convinced it's going to last. It might. The problem is if Hamas stays in power, they're terrorists. They're going to terrorist again, and Netanyahu's going to blow them up. That's sort of the risk here. 1 second here. Well, Trump is dying for his Nobel. I still think he's not going. He better not get a Nobel. Um, um, Trump now says Antifa's paid a lot of money to be terrorists. They're being paid to do this. So, in other words, again, not only is this fake group that doesn't exist, Antifa, a bunch of terrorists, but their rich Democratic donors are the ones really doing it because the rich Democratic donors want them to do terrorism, and they're the ones doing it, which is how he's going after Soros and everybody else, like lying about what Soros isn't funding Antifa. There is no such thing as Antifa. But yeah, lovely. Lovely. So, well, there you go. So again, the problem is currently we only have Donald Trump's explanation of what the deal is, and Donald Trump is a pathological liar. He's also not very bright and a little sketchy on the brain power. So of late, so you know, yeah. All right. Well, let's see. It's news. I just don't know. You know. Let's see. Let's see. Well, let's see. Very interesting. Thank you for pointing that out, whoever that was. Did not see my exoskeleton. Iron Man exoskeleton. That'd be funny with the little heart thing. All right, guys. Well, we've got time before that protest happens. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. I've got to do a video now for TikTok anyway about the deal, although we don't quite know what's up yet with this Hamas-Israel thing. Sounds good. I mean, ceasefire is better than fighting. So what the hell? Oh, hello. That's one of my note. What was my message was that was my reminder for something. All right, I'm gonna sign off, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Got to do a video now anyway. All right, Discord first, then YouTube, then TikTok. All right, bye Discord. Thanks, guys. All right, YouTube. I gotta call Matt. That's right. That's what I was gonna do. Remind me in an hour. All right, YouTube. Bye bye. Bye bye.